blue stem cells and how it can maybe benefit the practice here. So please feel free to speak to Dr. Tan. Yeah. So next in line, we would like to invite Dr. XanyaSofra. Dr. Sofra has a doctorate in neurophysiology from the City University in London, UK, and a doctorate in clinical psychology from the New School for Social Research in New York City, USA. She is an award-winning international speaker and faculty member in several medical and anti-aging societies, including IMCAS and Euromedicom, and the author of over 35 published research, scientific reviews, and other articles. Her book, Checkmate by a Protean Invisible Enemy and How Narcissism Invented Trumpism, the sadomasochistic amphisbaena, have been translated to 9 different languages. The new book, Brainwashed, is currently in the process of being published. Her current research is on signaling pathways, wound healing, and novel interventions resulting in visceral fat reduction, fitness, and hormonal balance increase. She is the inventor of the IELS signaling energy and is proprietary orchestrated programming designed for skin repair and pain relief, and co-inventor of the virtual gym technology that engages the nervous system and the brain in a simulated, effortless physical activity to treat obesity, diabetes, NAFL, and multiple sclerosis. She is also a recognized and honored member of Who is Who.
Thank you, Dr. Tan. That was a wonderful introduction, long but very wonderful. Okay. Thank you very much for inviting me. I really appreciate this invitation. I'm very excited to be here. And we're going to be talking about how can gene expression protect us from aging. Can it or can it not? And that is an important what we're going to be talking about. This presentation is based on an article that I recently published, just published as a matter of fact, and books that I've written that have been translated in several languages. Now, what is gene expression? Gene expression is the process by which the gene information is translated to become a protein or to become functional, basically. And what happens is that the cells detect signals that come from proteins, and those signals are transmitted into the interior of the cells, and then there is a downstream process that expresses the gene. Now, gene expression is very complex. Several genes may control the expression of one gene, and also several proteins might control the expression of one gene, which in turn controls the expression of other genes. So it's very, very complex. And gene expression is regulated by genetic effects, but also environmental effects. There is an interaction of gene expression and environmental events. Now, for example, you see here 2 identical twins. One of them is a smoker, the other one is not. The smoker twin, the genes that she has expressed, make her look older than the identical twin who is not a smoker. And what else expresses gene obesity? Every time you put on weight, you're expressing genes. Every time your BMI is increasing or decreasing, you're expressing genes. So weight loss, weight gain, all of these processes express genes. Now, is gene expression a good thing? Yes, maybe, or maybe not, because, for example, all the genes with harmful mutations can lead to very serious disorders. And are they just good, or they're good and bad? Most genes are good and bad. This is what you have to understand. This is what basically the presentation is about today. It's, for example, the PPMC gene has increases stress and decreases stress depending on different events inside the body and outside the body, environmental events. And now there is a new research that is trying to upregulate the antioxidant genes by manipulating hormonal levels and nutrition. And there are many differences between male and females. The females, mitochondria produce 50% less hydrogen, and the estrogens also activate the new growth factor kappa B, which is a signaling pathway that serves as a regulator of immunity. And You heard about telomeres. There's a lot of substances that, because the telomeres are at the end of the cells, and every time the cell regenerates, the telomeres get shortened with age. So the simple assumption has been, well, okay, let's have longer telomeres. Well, it doesn't work that well, because, for example, the longer telomeres are not associated with delayed aging. People that have a mutation in the Ph.D gene that gives them longer telomeres, in fact, they have many dangers, and there's a study that 15 out of 17 subjects had malignancies like blood cancer, skin melanoma, and thyroid cancer. Now, longevity and vitrectomy is very important because it's basically the genetic editing events that it's about 150 editing events that are related with aging. And now we have the genome editing that basically you can correct the genome to control certain genetic disorders. However, there are many, many ethical considerations, and you're not allowed to do it on everything, only on specific genes that are related to that particular disorder, and only when the genetic modification is conducted under a stringent set of ethical principles. Now, there are genes that are associated with longevity. They actually exist, and they are the APOD, the F4X03, the CETP genes. There is several longevity genes that include a lot of kind of names that we won't recognize, like SABD196, F44E5, and so on and so forth. I won't tire you with all this. Now, a lot of lasers companies, they have heard this gene expression, and they have used gene expression as a buzzword. But let's look a little bit more closely at what they're producing. So there is a study, actually a few studies that they produced. It was associated with a BPL. And what happens, they did not find any longevity genes per se, and they did not even find collagen, but they found certain genes which, however, have dual effects, and we'll see which ones they are. One of them that they're touting is the rejuvenation gene. That's the CMPSDE24. It's associated with the mutation of lamin A that gives you progeria, which is early aging. However, overexpression of the same gene is associated with inflammation. So it is possible that because their treatment includes heat, that there was more inflammation, temporary inflammation, that increased the expression of that gene. So it might be an artifact, in other words, and not rejuvenation per se. There are other genes that they looked at, IGF-1 receptor, which also, when it's overexpressed, it creates malignancies. And its opposite, the IGF-4 inhibitor of growth factor. And they looked at EIF4G1, that gene is associated with Parkinson's. I'm not sure whether they included it. Also it can cause a problem that is related to cancer and worsening malignancies. Now, the meal-mix gene is associated with leukemia. The MOV gene 10 is associated with very good things like viral activity, neurotransmitters, and very good things. However, it's also associated with cancer. So all of these genes have good effects and bad effects. And you don't want to overexpress a gene because then you're going to have negative effects. So it's a very tricky situation. When you hear gene expression, do not get too excited because it could be a good thing, but it could be a bad thing. So we're not there yet. All trauma is associated with gene expression in the first place. So, and gene expression, that's a very interesting point and very interesting to remember. The same genes that are good at a younger age are actually deleterious at an older age. Now, exercise. Exercise expresses over 311 genes. So exercise is something that expresses inflammatory genes to start with because of the effort, and then at the rest it expresses anti-inflammatory genes. So what do you see here? You see a balance, a genetic balance. You express genes and you express other genes that give you a genetic balance, and that is the important thing. We have effortless exercise that there have been experiments on DNA and RNA, and they found that after only 30 days, there was rapid hypertrophy that was found associated, and with an increase of 250% of the RNA. There's a lot of these studies, and they're all done in London University. Now, what else causes gene expression? Resonance. Resonance causes gene expression. So every time you have a resonating module, then you're gonna stimulate and activate signaling pathways, and then there will be a gene expression. And there is also coordinated activity of different signaling pathways that again that create different gene expressions. And there is a QTL that is the quantitative trait locus. In other words, where the gene is in the DNA. That also is affected. The environment of the gene within the body affects the expression of the gene, and the environment that is around the person also affects the expression of the gene. And there is an analysis of all of those, genes and how they can be expressed. Clock genes are very important because the timing that the gene can be expressed can actually control cancer or increase cancer. So again, you have opposite effects. And psoriasis is associated with clock genes and actually with timing. And there is a study that we did both on psoriasis, and this is the keloid scar study that we did with Dr. Lambert that shows a significant improvement as a result of this clock gene manipulation. And of course, there is a clear understanding of QTL signaling pathways and the clock genes. A combination of them can help us design new anti-aging treatments. So they're very important. There's some available methodologies like the HISP that's quite popular, and a lot of scientists have worked with it. And it has to do with the signaling network of cell wall integrity, and also the protein-to-protein interactions. That's another new method that is mathematically calculated, and the PPIN networks. And I just want to play a movie to show you basically how it happens. So signaling mechanisms initiate the signaling, okay? These signals interact with the DNA. The signals initiate the expression of a gene. That gene comes, it affects it's going to go to create the protein. How that's happening is going to be through transcription and the translation of that gene. That you see, so much is involved here. It's not just one gene and that's it. Everything is interacting. And now how the DNA becomes mRNA, the mRNA goes into the cytoplasm, and it starts kind of triggering the amino acids, and the amino acids are connected to make a protein, which is like a necklace with beads kind of thing. And with this, I would like to end this lecture. I'm going to continue with the next one unless you have any questions. Pretty heavy subject, I understand. Yeah, oh, good. Thank you.
This is my understanding. There are so many old people that has a kind of mitochondrial dysfunction.
Yes.
And we know that our energy, ATP, is being produced in these quite small organelles, mitochondria. And mitochondria itself has its own DNA. Is that right? Okay. And in the cell, there are also nucleus, and we have the so-called nuclear DNA. Okay. So, as far as I understand it, there should be harmonious communication or good communication between nuclear DNA and mitochondrial DNA. And in the older people, the signaling pathway mostly is not in a good condition anymore.
Right.
So, what your comments and suggestions how to tackle this problem? Thanks.
Okay, so the answer is that we're still struggling to do that, okay? There's no magic here involved. But what you said about, the key word is harmony. And aging is disharmony, basically, okay? Pretty much. And inflammation. And the signaling pathway has been interrupted. So if we start looking at genetic harmony, you know, that not overexpression, moderation within the gene expression, that expresses the genes but without overexpressing them, because overexpressing is going to lead to cancers and deleterious consequences. And how do you do that? You can do that through resonance. Now there is a lot of techniques that basically use resonance to fold proteins. So when you have, say, radio frequency that basically denatures or unfolds the proteins, you can have certain technologies that are utilized to fold proteins. And there is actually a variable, that a coefficient, there's a test that you can use to look at aggregated proteins or folded proteins. So this is the key, and this is a lot of the Nobel Prize research has been now on plot genes, on protein folding, on the DNA toolbox, on how we can, it's like how we can basically reverse the process. It's like, can you unboil an egg? You know, the boiled egg has denatured proteins. Can you fold the proteins, can make the egg unboiled? And the answer is yes, but it's not that we have people who can do that like routinely. You know, it's still a process, it's a new science. So I want to caution you about being too excited about it. Yes?
You say about expressions and overexpressions. How do you define that? Overexpression of DNA and
what is expression of the gene? What we mean by expression, we mean that a gene it doesn't do anything, just sits there, right? It's dormant, say. And what expression of the gene is that this gene, other genes or other proteins are getting this gene to become functional. It's like a sperm that eventually will become a person, okay? But it's a process that happens. So there's different components. There's proteins, there's other genes that are involved, there is that, and the environment, events in the environment. Like trauma will always produce gene expression. Getting old, getting fat, getting sleep, all of that is going to produce gene expression, just about everything.
So you say about the frequency. What kind of frequency you are talking about that actually can switch? I don't know whether you're talking about switch on or switch off the gene.
I didn't speak about frequencies.
You say frequency can
resonance.
Resonance, right?
Okay, resonance is very different than frequency.
Yeah.
Resonance.
So what kind of resonance you mean? Is it you are talking about?
What's resonance?
What resonance? Is it a method or is it a way?
You know, resonance is something that you see in nature all the time. When you have two frequencies that are basically are similar, then they can add onto each other. But a resonance can be expressed like when a boat crosses an ocean or a lake and creates a wave, and that wave creates another wave and a bigger wave. This is like an addition because water plus water makes bigger water.
Right.
But if you had water plus oil, it would make and there's no resonance. So you can have two waveforms that basically add on each other and make a louder effect or a more pronounced effect, if you like. Or you can have two waveforms that are added and then nullify each other. So that is now obviously, well, you may want that if these two waveforms are deleterious. So you can manipulate that to make a good effect or a bad effect.
So you're talking
That's
about
resonance.
Yeah, you're talking about resonance, right? It means that there are two waves or three waves that match and then form the resonance, right? So we are talking about what kind of resonance you are talking about that actually can help.
Actually, I have another PowerPoint tomorrow. I can explain a lot more on that. So, just so you can, like, for example, you have a protein,
Right.
and you see the protein is folded in a particular way, and through resonance, there is a resonance process between the two proteins, right? And you can see this protein changing in shape completely. So you can use, you know, like a different a mechanism. Let's put it that way: a machine or a mechanism that we can refold the protein or change the protein shape to make it functional.
Oh.
I have another PowerPoint that has pictures that you can see much more, like, and I can also send it to you. You can give me your information, I can send it to you if you're interested. So you can see it a little bit more because it's a complex process, not like something you can see with your eye under the microscope. It's like a lot of it is.
So the resonance you mean is actually a wave? Is it a wave or is it a?
No, resonance is a process.
Process.
It's a process between two frequencies, or between two proteins, or between two people. Like two people, you know, you meet the person and you hit it off, right? And you say, oh, this is, I can understand this person's person. That's resonance. So resonance is a process, it's not an actual waveform. Okay, so we're going to continue with another lecture now. This is the anti-aging ecosystem is changing. And what is, I have heard so many businessmen saying, I cannot predict what's going on. We don't know what's going on. It's like the ecosystem is changing so drastically, we don't know where it's going. And they don't know what to do with the patients. You know, the patients, they seem to be going all over different directions. They go left, they go right, they don't know where they're going. And some are still coming and they're happy with the procedures, but others have started coming less and less, and some of them have completely disappeared because they don't feel they're getting what they need. So what is it that they need? Let's address the elephant in the room. Pandemic, COVID-19, 3 years, it has left its mark. People have become more interested in immunity. What we learned from COVID-19 is that COVID-19 interferes with the innate with the adaptive immune system, okay? So the adaptive immune system is the system that kills the virus. Now, because it interferes with that, and it interferes with the interference that are related to that process, as a result of that, you don't have a, you basically get ill. And then the cytokines come in, and then you have the cytokine storm and you die. So what happens is that people that have a better immune system have better interference, and therefore they can deal with the virus better. So we learned that the immune system is key. Health is key. And beauty and immunity go hand in hand. Actually, there is a study that revealed that very pretty people have better immune systems. We don't know why. So the opposite can be good. If we can increase the immunity of people, we can increase beauty. We can increase anti-aging. And basically, the essential ally of skin beauty, fitness, and body health is immunity. So we need to focus on the immunity. People that are Chinese know that for millions of for hundreds of years, they know how important the immune system is. So a lot of clinics, basically, they're still giving treatments about beauty and about slimming. And they don't realize that these things are standing on the crumbles because it has crumbled. The COVID-19 has really crumbled this beauty concept. And at the foreground, you know, you can still say, yeah, I want to look beautiful, I want to look this, I want to look that. But in the background, they start thinking, oh my God, what's going to happen? I have to be healthier. So health has become a concern that people have. And this is why they mean, if you just do beauty, they won't stay with you. And because of the life preservation concept, basically. So the health has broken that path to beauty. And you see health is all the way up there, and beauty, there's a schism now. People do not go there. There is a detour, and the detour is towards health. Now, pre-pandemic was the collagen era, okay? So you had the marketing on this side, and then you have the reality. I mean, you have a little bit of difference, but you don't become like Angelina Jolie or anything, okay? Now, the other thing is that collagen, if you think about it, is 1 out of 100,000 proteins in the human body. Of course, protein means, it comes from the word colla, it's a Greek word, and it means glue. So it basically glues things together, that's what it does, okay? So, and it makes about 25 to 35% of our whole body protein, but we cannot ignore the rest. There's about 75 to 65% of other proteins, okay, that without which collagen cannot function in the first place. So anti-aging medicine has focused on collagen and is ignoring everything else. So it's time now that we change that if we want to produce health. And RF is a known fact that denatures proteins. Okay, this is a normal protein on the back, and this is a denatured protein. And denatured proteins are dysfunctional. That's what we were talking about before, that we need the resonance to kind of fold them back together. Otherwise, they're dysfunctional. They're not doing anything. And this is a renaturation of what we can do through resonance. And this is basically a functional protein, and this is a denatured protein in the middle. Heat will have a natural protein. Now, with lasers, continuous laser treatment, what you're going to have is sometimes the granzyme B will increase, and that is associated with apoptosis. So eventually, it will create inflammation and premature skin aging. And let's now very important, okay? And you're not going to like what I'm going to tell you now, but I'll say, because truth, most laser and RF studies are only looking at the positive. Like the gene expression study from the BBL, they were only looking at the positive effects of their genes, but not the negative effects. Same thing, most of them are basically only tell you what is good. They don't tell you what is bad. And this is an interesting kind of science test. And you have 4 cards, okay? A, B, 1, and 2. And the statement says, behind card A, there is always the number 1. And you then have to turn 2 cards to prove if the statement is true or false. And most people, what do? They turn card A and number 1. And that's wrong, because the statement does not say behind number 1 there is A. It states that behind A is number 1. So budget B is irrelevant anyway. And so the only card that you have to turn is 2. Because if behind 2 is A, then your statement is false. Let me give to you in a different, in more concrete fashion you can understand it better. So you have Hong Kong, Shanghai, train, and plane, okay? And the statement says, every time I go to Hong Kong, I take the train, all right? It doesn't say, I will never, I take the train to go to Guangzhou or to go to whatever, other places, right? So you have to turn 2 cards. You're going to turn Hong Kong, obviously, to see behind this train or not. And then you have to turn plane to see, because if Hong Kong is behind plane, you have to falsify. The problem is that they don't falsify hypotheses, and that is the main issue. So for example, with laser studies of collagen, they only looked at the site where they did the laser they did not look at the site where they did not laser, in which case there could be either a defect of collagen or a deficiency in other proteins. That means the body created the same amount of collagen, only that all the collagen went to the laser part, and it's an artifact. So all these things, all this research has been based on proving hypotheses, but not falsifying hypotheses. The era of lipolysis, the fast slimming, and again, this is what people come for, this one, and this is basically the reality. Yeah, there is a reduction, but nothing spectacular. Again, you don't become like Angelina Jolie. And the problem with lasers and slimming is that they results rebound. Why? Because they don't do anything on metabolism. They don't control hunger. People go out, especially in Malaysia, that we have a food paradise here, and they eat, and the people right back home. Now, if you have fitness, exercise, or effortless exercise, or different modes of exercise, then you're going to have increased metabolism, balanced hormones, detox, reduced hunger, muscle mass increase, and therefore the results will not rebound. So this is kind of the difference. Now, we also talk about burning fat with lasers, right? Okay, the problem is that the fat is not nicely set above the muscle, all right? It basically invades the muscle, invades your fatty liver as well. And that's why you get the fatty liver, because you have fat in there, okay? So it invades the muscle. So when you say I'm burning fat, are you actually saying that I'm also burning muscle? So these are things that you have to start thinking. Now, the other thing is, laser and RF lipolysis, what happens is that it discriminately releases fat, okay? And if it's too much fat, it can clog your arteries. If you're older, if you're younger, nothing happens. But when you're older, you need to start thinking about it. Without exercise, that would actually, the body will help you detox, then you cannot actually get anywhere. And what is visceral fat? Visceral fat is the main reason why people die. It's one of the main causes of most diseases. Well, basically, this is the shape of death, okay? It's death by visceral fat. And the problem with this RF just does not, there are no studies on RF that are controlled well with just some advertising things. There are some studies with laser that combine with exercise that they claim to have reduced visceral fat, but you don't have to use the laser or the exercise, and a lot of the studies were never replicated. So anti-aging medicine has to focus on the elephant in the room, and the elephant in the room is health, not just looking good. And besides, you cannot look good if you're not healthy in the first place. But the problem is that these concepts have been with us for so long that changing is very, very difficult. So the older the system, the more difficult it is to change. So we keep going round and round and round, doing the same old thing, and we don't understand how it can change. So what we have to do is either we're going to follow trends, follow everybody else, or we're going to be pioneers. And there is an excitement and a very rewarding feeling when you are a pioneer. I'm almost done. I only have a couple more slides. Now, we have to think outside the box. And when we meet, we should not we should problem solve, not just vent about problems. Einstein said, don't just think about the box, get rid of the box. And how do we do that? Through the eye of the imagination. And the eye of the imagination does have the best view. Now, we don't want to just name our clinic health clinic. Okay, this is what people do. Like, I'm just going to put health clinic, and then do the same old thing. You have to educate your clients and create health, fitness, and immunity boost treatments. And that's when you're going to get your clients back. So this is kind of my recommendation. Back to balance, integrated health, fitness, well-being, practice healthcare. That is the important thing, and that will get you your clients back and more clients. And there is, other people will do it. So you have competition. You gotta do it first, otherwise that window will close. And this is just, again, the books that are published. I'm sorry, I keep boring you with my accomplishments. There's a lot of articles I've written up to, over 35 articles. And with that, I would like to complete the lecture. And if you have any questions, please get in touch with me at science@ielios.com, and I will answer your questions also. Any questions? Yes?
Back to the nature protein. I think it's about the same with misfolded protein. Is that right?
Say that again, I'm sorry.
You mentioned in one of your slides about denatured protein. I think it's about the same with misfolded protein.
Unfolded, yeah.
Unfolded protein, yeah.
Yeah. Denatured is unfolded, natural is folded.
Okay. Can we use intermittent fasting and autophagy
Yes,
to
yes,
get rid of it?
yes. Actually, yes. The very good mentioned it. Actually, the article I wrote another article that I just published. And I was looking at, the gene expression actually does happen with the intermittent fasting. You are expressing genes. So that is something that is extremely useful. I don't know about folding proteins, there's no research on that, but there is research that shows that you do express genes that are good genes, that are healthy genes, that improve your health.
Recently, there have been developed in the market certain algorithms to measure the so-called biological age.
Right.
One of them are using epigenetic aging clock.
That's right.
What's your comment and view on that?
Okay, all right. This is what I was talking about, the genetic, there are a lot of ethical considerations on that, because a lot of things can go wrong, especially when you start interfering with genes and try to kind of do editing, genetic editing. So right now, the way I understand it, the only ethical procedure is when you do the DNA, the specific DNA that is associated to a genetic disorder, and only there, but not start kind of doing it with genes for beauty and anti-aging and things like that. So we're not at that level yet. So I don't think we need to if we start getting too aggressive in this particular area, it could lead to several disasters, right? Because so many things can go wrong. It's not just one thing. There is one correct solution and billions of incorrect solutions. So most likely, if we do something, we're going to be in the incorrect range rather than the correct range. So that is something that I believe we have to be extremely cautious and very ethical about it, rather than say, oh, well, I can do this. I think we have to be very careful.
Just curious, in one of your slides you also mentioned about longevity genes, if I'm not mistaken,
Right.
FOXO and ApoE4. As far as I understand that ApoE4 is more related on Alzheimer's disease, and SIF2 127 is more related to longevity genes.
Yeah.
Okay. But how this ApoE4 is also related to longevity genes?
Okay, so basically, I think the trick there is the moderation. You know, and then like, Socrates, the Greeks said that, everything moderation is okay. The problem is underexpression or overexpression. And the other problem is that we don't always exactly know what is the balance. You spoke about harmony before. Again, this is what clicks here. It's the harmony. It has to be here, but if it's there or there, it's a problem. They're not longevity genes, they're cancer genes. Because that's what cancer is. Cancer is the cells multiply, they have endless telomerase, and they keep multiplying, and they live forever. They're vampires. But they're not the life as we know it.
Thank you.
Yes?
You're talking about balance. So what can we do in a practical way in the daily life so that we can have a balanced gene expression?
Well, nutrition, exercise. You know, there has been so many, I've been looking at gene expression, I've been looking at all these different, you know, proteins, and basically it goes back to what we know, healthy lifestyle. Intermittent, yeah, that's also, you know, the fasting, intermittent fasting. Not overdoing exercise. If you go to the gym and you exercise for 10 hours, I'm sorry, that is not proper. That's not going to give you what you need. It's too much. It cannot be too much, it cannot be too little. It has to be a healthy, balance. And the balance is the key word.
You're
But
talking
of course,
about
we don't really know what is balance, right?
You're talking about balance. Everybody, the balance is different, right?
That's right, yeah,
That's
exactly.
what you want to try.
Exactly. And then you have individual differences
Yes.
that you have to have your own balance. You cannot have your friend's balance.
Yeah.
Your friend's balance is not your balance, it's bad for you. So we have to kind of look at it. And as clinicians looking at patients, we have to understand that. We have to take the individual difference component into the equation. Otherwise, the result of our equation is going to be incorrect.
What's your opinion about bioresonance? Would you have also affecting this genetic expression as well?
Bioresonance?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. All resonance affects gene expression. Because it affects proteins, so proteins are involved in the gene expression. They're all kind of connected. We start the process.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank
and
you for all
for,
these questions. I'm
thank
sure
you.
they are all burning questions. If there's any further questions that you would like to know, you would like to talk to her, you can always see her after this, right? Okay, next we progress to the next topic. We've got Dr. Ho Koo Soon. He's an LCP certified aesthetic practitioner, and he's going to be sharing with us hair transplant 101 and the latest techniques from Korea.